Now we're going to move into how to get some basic summary statistics in R. So really quickly, there is a really basic function for that in R called summary. So if I run that on our air quality data that we've used previously, you'll see that it does produce some type of summary statistics for us. I don't really like this function as much because it doesn't provide everything for you. And I also think it's useful to learn some of the more basic functions for this as well, because we're going to use it for the tidyverse later. So really quickly, there's a bunch of vector-based versions of getting all of these. So for example, if I want the mean, we've seen this before, if I just run that on air quality's temperature data, that'll give me the mean back, right? If I want the standard deviation, I do the same thing on this temperature data. If I want the range, I can do that as well. And I can even do the IQR if I feel like it, or the minimum or the maximum or any number of different things like that. So if you want to learn more about which descriptive statistics you can find in R, I just recommend going out there and looking for it because there's quite a few. But those are at least some basic examples. Now, one thing about those more basic functions is that you have to be careful of missing values. So suppose, for example, I take the mean of air quality's solar radiation data this time. If I run that, it actually says NA here because there's a missing value present. So I'll show you why that's the case. If we use our head function on air quality, you can see that in ozone and solar radiation, there's these missing values here. So I'll just kick back this missing value when I use this mean function. So to make a very simple fix there, I just add a comma here and then use as a second argument NA remove equals true. So if I run that now, it gives me the mean as I should expect it to be. Similarly, for the standard deviation, if I did the same thing, it'll do exactly what we expect. And so I have to use this NA remove equals true argument to fix that. Now, suppose I wanted to get the complete cases from this data just to get some very quick descriptives or something like that. There is a way around that. So we would just use this NA omit function for that. So I'm actually going to save this as an object called complete air, and we're going to use the NA omit function on the air quality data set and just store it in that object. And so if I just want to give a quick glance of that, I can use head on that, on complete air, and see now that there's no missing values present in this particular data set. But what if I was interested in where the missingness is coming from? Well, I can actually use the Amelia package for that, which has some nice functions for dealing with missingness. So I'm going to go ahead and install that really quickly. And it's spelled with a capital A. And so to load that, we're just going to type it out as library with a capital A again. And so that loads this message down here saying that we've successfully loaded it. And now we just have to use our miss map function on our air quality data. So if I run that as is, it gives me this plot. So I'm going to click on this zoom icon. I'm going to maximize this. And notice that we actually have two variables that account for most of the missingness, mainly ozone, and 5% of the data is missing. And so this blue ocean of plot here is actually the complete cases, whereas these blank values are missing. So that's a really nice way to visualize the missingness if you want it really quickly. Now, I mentioned before that there are some other more helpful functions out there for getting summary statistics, and I really like the rstatics package for this. So I'm going to install that package as well. We're going to type out rstatics, and it says I have that, so I'll click yes again. So I'm going to load it as we always do. rstatics, and now that we have that loaded, it does say that it masks this filter function. So just be aware whenever it does that, all it's saying is if you have this filter function in another package, or you're trying to use that function from that package, be aware that this package uses this as well. So you just have to type it out explicitly if that's the case. So you would say something like rstatics filter if that's the case, if you're loading both of those packages at the same time. But in any case, if we're wanting to get our summary statistics from our data, we're just going to use this get summary stats function. And so I'm going to run that on air quality really quickly. And now you see it gives us this really lengthy list of values for our descriptive. So I'm actually going to use our view function on this to see it in full. And can see here that it gives us the minimum, the maximum, the median, the IQR, standard deviation, all this stuff. So that's very useful. Now, if I wanted to, I can also get a correlation matrix of this data. So I'm going to use core mat and use that on air quality. And that produces this correlation matrix, which is really nice. It actually shows you in red which ones are negative and what is positive in white, and then just has these 1 values on the diagonal. So that's also a very useful function if you just want to get some quick correlations there. Now notice that these two tables here look quite a bit different from what we've seen previously. These are tibbles. I'm going to go into more detail about that when we talk about the tidyverse, but just know that it's essentially the same thing as a data frame, but has a little bit more information behind it. So in any case, that's how you get some basic descriptive statistics. Now we're going to move on to plotting and customizing plots in Base R. So I'll see you there.